starting a lecture, yesterday I have sent a question to you in the WhatsApp group. So that question is about iodoform reaction, right? Iodoform reaction. Iodoform reaction. Why I am discussing this is because in carbon compounds, you have seen R C double bond of CH3 carbons which have C double bond of CH3 group. Carbons which have C double bond of CH3 group, they will react with halogens in the presence of base. We actually require 3 moles of halogen, like 3 moles of I2 or Cl2 or Br2. The corresponding name would be iodoform, bromoform and fluoroform reaction. Okay, so if we use I2, 3 moles of I2 plus 4 moles of NaOH. So all these 3 hydrogen atoms of the alpha carbons, why these carbons, why the hydrogens which are present on this carbon will be replaced? Why? Because we have a carbonyl group which has partial positive and partial negative charges generated. C double bond O, carbon gets partial positive, oxygen gets partial negative. Because of this positive charge of carbon, this electron density moves towards carbon. So this carbon will get somewhat lesser charge. This carbon will get some positive charge, but that charge is less when compared to this carbon. But as soon as this carbon, that is alpha carbon, gets positive charge, all the groups attached to that carbon. What are the groups attached to that carbon? Hydrogens, right? So again, there is an electron density. That electron density tends to move toward this carbon to neutralize that charge. As soon as the electron density in between C and H, that is carbon and hydrogen, tend to move towards carbon, so this CH bond becomes weaker. So if you have a base, that base will immediately pick up this hydrogen. That base will immediately pick up this hydrogen, and the reaction proceeds. In the final step, you will have CH3 minus, here I2, so CI3 minus, CI3 minus. So this CI3 minus will pick up the proton from the solution, forming CHI3, which is known as iodoform. We have seen that. Yes or no? In the carbonyl chemistry. We have seen the reaction or not? But what's important is not only the C double bond of CH3 groups, also groups which have CH3, CHOH, CH3. This group, so if you have a CHOH group as well, this type of alcohols will undergo iodoform or bromoform or fluoroform. We can combine it as haloform. So the only requirement is the presence of this group CH3, CHOH. The only requirement is the presence of CH3, CHOH group. If that group is present, they can react with iodine in the presence of base to form respective haloforms. I think Aniket has a question regarding the final question. Regarding the final example. CH3, CH2, C double bond O, CH2, CH3. This one, and CH3, CH2, COHH, CH2, CH3. So I think this was the final example. Yes or no, Aniket? So in that example, if you look at this example, we have CHOH attached to CH2 and not CH3. And not CH3. If it is attached to CH2, only 2 hydrogens can be replaced by halogens, and we cannot get a trihalogen derivative. Trihalogen derivatives are known as fluoroform, bromoform, and iodoform. If you only have CH2 attached to CHOH, then only 2 hydrogens will be replaced by respective halogens, and the corresponding product is not iodoform or bromoform or fluoroform. So this compound will give negative iodoform test. Negative iodoform test, or in general we can call negative haloform test. So The requirements, I have told you the requirements. We should have CH3, CHOH. This is the requirements in alcohols. Similarly, CH3, C double bond O. This is the requirement in carbonyl. This is the requirement in carbonyl. That is, C double bond O should be attached with CH3 methyl. The only requirement is it should attach with methyl. Is it clear? So these questions are very frequent in the competitive examinations. Why? Because they give us some set of compounds and ask which of the following will undergo positive hydroform test. You should be familiar with that. So all you need to check. If they given only alcohols, you need to check CH3, CHOH. If they give only carbon, again you need to check CH3, CH1. If they give both aldehydes, ketones and alcohols, both carbonyls and alcohols, then also you should check the same requirements. Is it clear? Is it clear or not? What are your and ask your friends to join the lecture immediately. Understood? Fine. So why CH3 is always required is because we call trihalogen derivatives as haloforms. Chloroform, bromoform, iodoform are CHCl3, CHBr3 and CHI3. Those are haloforms. So if a reaction has to give haloform, so all the three hydrogens should be replaced by three chlorines. So we should always have a methyl group adjacent to C double bond O or OH, CHOH. That is the criteria. And today, we are going to study preparations of carboxylic acids. So yesterday we have seen we can prepare carboxylic acids from acidic hydrolysis of cyanates. Yes or no? RC triple bond N. RC triple bond N. When we treat with H plus in the presence of OH minus, H plus in the presence of H2O. Acidic hydrolysis means we have H plus in H2O. We have H plus in H2O. Then what do you get? RC double bond OH. RC double bond OH plus NH3 will be released. Similarly, if you choose basic hydrolysis, OH minus in the presence of H2O, that is the same H2O solution, but you are adding some amount of base like NaOH or KOH. Then you get carboxylate ion RC double bond O minus plus NH3 would be released. NH3 would be released. So acidic hydrolysis gives carboxylic acids, whereas basic hydrolysis gives carboxylate ion. And the reaction mechanism of basic hydrolysis is quite similar to acidic hydrolysis. You don't need to think at all. The same reaction mechanism. The same reaction mechanism for both acidic and basic hydrolysis. The only change is in the basic hydrolysis, you will get RC double bond OH, but this H is again picked up by base. This hydrogen is again picked up by the base. So that is why we get a carboxylase ion. That is why we get a carboxylase ion. So today's reaction is from Grignard reagent. From Grignard reagent. What is Grignard reagent? RNGX. When organometallics like Grignard Grignard reagents are treated with CO2, and then hydrolysis is performed, when organometallics are treated with CO2, and then if hydrolysis is performed, we will end up with carboxylic acids. So let us check the reaction mechanism. So Grignard reagent is RMgX. What is R? Let us say CH3. CH3MgX, we are treating with C double bond O. It is carbon dioxide, CO2. So C double bond O and double bond O. So we have two double bonded oxygens attached to the carbon. So when we have a double bond, one bond is sigma and the other is pi. The pi bond is comparatively less strong when compared to sigma bond. So these electrons can move faster. When it is less strong, the pi electron density can move faster. As oxygen is more electronegative, they can move towards oxygen. And the negative charge on carbon from Grignard reagent will now attack this positively charged carbon. So C double bond O, we have moment of pi electron density. So carbon gets delta positive, oxygen gets delta negative. So this negatively charged carbon from Grignard reagent will now try to attack this carbon. The carbon of carbon dioxide. So what will you end up with? CH3 now attacks this carbon. So we have O minus and we have double bond O. O minus, as soon as the negatively charged carbon attacks the carbon of CO2, the O minus will attack NGX. The O minus will attack NGX. So we'll end up with this addition product. This was an addition product. Or adduct. So when this adduct is formed, and then you need to do hydrolysis. So this NGX will be replaced by OH, CH3, COH double bond O plus NGX OH. So this is our respective acid. So if we start with CH3 NGX, we'll get CH3 C double bond OH. We'll get CH3 C double bond OH. Is it clear? Reaction mechanism? It should be very simple, right? Note down the reaction mechanism of Grignard reagent with CO2. But if you can see, both Grignard reagent and cyanates can be prepared from alkyl halides. You can see that both Grignard reagents and cyanates can be prepared from alkyl halides. How we can prepare Grignard reagent from alkyl halide? How can we prepare that? Yes, Ajay says insertion reaction. We need to insert what, Ajay? Halogen. We need to insert halogen. Mg is integrated CH3X we have, CH3X we will treat with Mg. Okay, there Mg will get inserted. Noted or not? Noted, fine? Write down some points. Both cyanides and Grignard reagents can be prepared by alkyl halides by the following ways. By the following manner. So how we can prepare? Let us say CH3, CH2Cl. I want to prepare cyanide. Simply add KCN. CH3, CH2Cl will be obtained. CH3, CH2Cl will be obtained. Okay, similarly CH3, CH2Cl with magnesium gets CH3, CH2, MgCl. Right? So when we treat alkyl halide with KCl, we get cyanides, and when we treat alkyl halide with magnesium, insertion reaction occur, and again we'll get Grignard reagent. So cyanides and Grignard reagent can be generated from alkyl halides. Why we are discussing this is, if we start the reaction with alkyl halide like CH3, CH2Cl, and we want to produce acids, then the number of carbon atoms in acid generated would be +1 times the number of carbons we have taken initially. Let us take an example. We have already taken an example with CH3, CH2Cl. And here what we have produced, CH3, CH2C triple bond N. So in the first case, this is the first case, this is the second case. In the first case, if you do if this was the reaction given to you, then initially what is A? A we have already written, that is CH3, CH2, C triple bond N. But when we need to write B, when we need to write the final code B on acidic hydrolysis, what the compound B would be? B would be CH3, CH2, C double bond OH. Yes or no? So the extra carbon we are actually getting from KCN. So if we are taking ethyl chloride, we'll get propanoic acid, not ethanoic acid. That should be noted. If we take ethyl chloride, we'll get propanoic acid, not ethanoic acid. More than one carbon will be present in the final product. That extra carbon we are getting from the CN, cyanide. See, cyanide has CN, right? From there we are getting the extra carbon. Similarly, from Grignard reagents, we are getting the extra carbon from CO2. Do the same reaction with Grignard reagent. CH3, CH2Cl. Mg will get A. Upon treatment with magnesium, we will get A. And if it is treated with CO2 and H3O plus. So Grignard reagents upon treatment with carbon dioxide and then hydrolysis will get acids, right? So A is a compound CH3, CH2, MgCl, CH3, CH2, MgCl. You can simply write the mechanism again. CH3, CH2, MgCl. So carbon magnesium bond is polar because carbon is more electronegative when compared to magnesium. Carbon gets negative and magnesium gets positive. Magnesium gets positive charge. So this particular compound is treated with CO2. CO2 we can write as C double bond O double bond O. Actually, you should not write like this. You should always write CO2 like this because it is a linear molecule. Because it is a linear molecule. CO2 is linear or not? CO2 is a linear molecule. We should always represent it like this. So negative charge attacks this carbon because this carbon is electrophilic. It has slightly positive charge. Negative charge, negatively charged carbon from Grignard reagent will attack the positively charged carbon of CO2. So as soon as the attack is initiated, we will get CH3, CH2, and the new bond is C, O minus. This has MgCl. This has MgCl. Double bond O. If we are writing the hydrolysis step itself here, then we will get O minus H plus MgCl OH. MgClOH. This is our respective acids. If we see the acids, we have again one carbon atom more. If you see in the acids, we have again one carbon atom more when compared to the initial alkyl halide. When compared to the initial alkyl halide. Why I am stressing these steps? If we start with a 2 carbon atom substrate, we are getting 3 carbon atom substrate. Why I am stressing this is, in the reaction sequence, when you are writing a competitive examination, in the reaction sequence, they suddenly increase the carbon chain length. Okay? In the reaction sequence, they suddenly increase the carbon chain length. You should be very careful with that. Okay? So don't come to a conclusion directly. You see the reaction sequence given to you very carefully and then conclude. Sometimes they will increase the length of carbon chain. Is it clear? Note down all these examples. So these are the 4 steps. The first step is oxidation of primary alcohols. The second step, oxidation of alkyl benzenes with KMNO4 in the presence of KOH. The third and fourth steps, from cyanides and from Grignard reagents. But both cyanides and Grignard reagents can be prepared from alkyl halides. So we can indirectly prepare carboxylic acids from alkyl halides, and you can also increase the chain length. Krishnamshi, understanding the concept or not? And everyone, don't be late to lecture. You are going to miss a lot of concepts, so don't be late. Noted it or not? But Ajay, Karthik, you're fine. So now next step is the preparation of corresponding carboxylic acids from esters. Preparation of carboxylic acids from acidic hydrolysis of esters. From acidic hydrolysis of esters. Preparation of carboxylic acids from acidic hydrolysis of esters. So you know what are esters? So you can write the same statements. Esters when treated with H plus in the presence of H plus. Esters when treated with H plus in H2O, they will give acids plus alcohols. You can write the same statements. Esters when treated with H plus in water, they will give acids and alcohols. Acids and alcohols. Write the alcohols there too. Acids and alcohols. That is R C double bond O R dash. See, R and R dash are alkyls. R comma R dash are alkyl groups. Alkyl groups. So we can have two different alkyls or two same alkyl groups, but they are alkyls. If R dash is not an alkyl, if R dash is equals to hydrogen, if R dash is equal to hydrogen, then R C double bond OH, that becomes acids. So R dash should not be hydrogen. It should be any alkyl group, any alkyl group. Okay, so now we are treating this with H plus. What happens? We have a C double bond group, right? So oxygen gets negative, carbon gets positive. See, every reaction will have similar mechanisms. Almost all the reactions will have similar mechanisms. So the O minus will attack the H plus. O minus will attack the H plus. So O H O R dash. This carbon has partially positive charge. This carbon has partially positive charge. Now in the solution we have water, right? And water is always a weak electrolyte. So we do not have H plus and OH from water. If we directly have H plus and OH from water, we don't even need to add acid. We don't even need to mention acidic hydrolysis. Just treatment of H plus with water gives acids. We can say like that. If H2 is a strong electrolyte, but that is not the scenario. H2 is a weak electrolyte, so its dissociation is slow. H plus and OH minus concentrations are low. H plus and OH minus concentrations are low, but H2O molecules are high. So we have H2O molecule. In H2O molecule we have oxygen, and oxygen has two lone pairs. So this carbon has electrophilic nature. So lone pair from oxygen of H2O will now try to attack this particular carbon. Sorry. RCOH, and this oxygen will form a bond with carbon. Because oxygen has lone pair, that lone pair on oxygen attacking this electrophilic carbon, that is the driving force of the reaction. Why the reaction will occur? We should know that. Okay, the lone pair on oxygen, which is negative charge, attacks this particular electrophilic carbon. So as soon as the lone pair attacks this carbon, we will have a bond formation. Initially, oxygen has two lone pairs. In H2, oxygen has two lone pairs, but one lone pair is utilized in the bond formation. So we have a positive charge now, and the other lone pair is as it is. This OR dash bond is as it is. It is not this. But now again, because of the positive charge on oxygen, we have OH bond, right? The electron density of OH bond will now slightly move towards oxygen to neutralize the positive charge on oxygen. So this OH bond becomes weaker. This OH bond arrow represents movement of electron density. That means OH bond becomes weaker, but it is not broken. When it is broken, when something else comes and attacks H plus, then only the bond breaks. But here, you have O R dash and OH. You have O R dash and OH. If you look at this carbon is attached with 4 groups, so it should be sp3. If it is sp3, its shape should be tetrahedron. Although it cannot be exact tetrahedron because we have groups which have lone pairs, they have slightly repulsions, so slightly distorted tetrahedron. But if you look at these two groups, this side we have R, that is alkyl group, it cannot attack the hydrogen. But we have OH group and OR group. Both oxygens have lone pairs. So this lone pair can attack as well as this lone pair can attack. But which one should be considered the most? Obviously from OR dash. Why? Because here R is a electron donating group, plus sign group, yes or no? So because of this R group, the electron density of oxygen is still increased. So we always need to consider the attack of this oxygen. So you can also, if you look at this example, you may get a question. If you look at this example, yes, admitted. Ajay, Namita, Vaishnavi, everyone is admitted. Okay. Yes, look at this example. I'm explaining again. Look at this example, Ajay, Namita. I think you have lost the network connection. So initially we have an extra like this. We are dealing with H plus. So when we deal with H plus, we have C double bond of group. That C double bond of group has negative charge on oxygen. So negative charge on oxygen attacks the H plus. So we'll get this intermediate. The positive charge on this carbon is not disturbed up to now. It is disturbed by the lone pair of oxygen in water, because in water we have many water molecules and very less H plus and OH minus ions, because water is a very weak electrolyte. So the water molecule will itself attack this electrophilic carbon. I am saying water molecule attack the electrophilic carbon. What do you mean by that? That means the lone pair of oxygen from water attacks this electrophilic carbon. As soon as the lone pair attacks, oxygen gets positive charge. Obviously, one lone pair is used in the bond formation. So oxygen gets positive charge. The other lone pair is as it is, and everything else will be same. OH and OR, oxygen positive, 2 hydrogens. But as oxygen gets positive charge, the OH bond becomes weaker. Yes or no? As oxygen gets positive charge, we have electron density between oxygen and hydrogen. That electron density now tries to move towards the oxygen to balance that positive charge. So OH bond becomes weaker, but that is not broken. When that will be broken, so we have two possibilities here. We have OH and OR. From the OH, as this carbon is tetrahedral, why I am talking about the shape? Why? Because few students will think that this OH is somewhat upward, so it cannot attack this hydrogen. No, shape of this particular carbon is tetrahedral. There are both the possibilities. Both this OH can attack this hydrogen and this OR that can also attack the hydrogen. But you cannot explain that based on the distance, because all are at equal distance in a tetrahedron, comparatively same distance. But what matters the most is this alkyl group R dash. This R dash is an electron donating group. So this R dash increases the electron density on oxygen. So more electron density on oxygen, more faster the attack would be. So this H plus from OH2 plus will be attacked by OR and not by OH, because here we have comparatively less electron density when compared to OR dash. I think it is clear now. Is it clear now? As soon as it attacks, what happens? As soon as it attacks, what will happen? R, C, OH, everything would be as it is. This oxygen has now two bonds, R dash and H. One lone pair is replaced in the bond formation, so we have positive charge here. Other lone pair is as it is, and the other OH should be same. Other OH group should be same. Other OH group should be same. Now this oxygen has positive charge. This oxygen has positive charge, and this carbon and oxygen share two electrons. So we have electron density between carbon and oxygen. That electron density slightly moves towards the oxygen. This electron density now slightly moves towards oxygen to balance this positive charge. As soon as the electron density is moving towards oxygen, this carbon gets partially positive. So as soon as this carbon gets partial positive charge, the lone pair from oxygen comes into picture. So this complete reaction is like a simultaneous steps everywhere. So based on repulsions, based on requirements, the electrons will move because they are charged species, right? Electrons are charged, negatively charged species, so they want to attract it towards the positively charged species. That's it. But how they will attract, that matters the most. So what happens now? R, C, double bond O. One lone pair is replaced in the double bond. So other lone pair is as it is. As one lone pair is replaced in the bond formation, we have positive here again. OH bond is as it is. As soon as this lone pair comes into this bond fuse, to loss of O, R dash H would be as it is. And this downward OH, we can simply write it like this. We have another OH here, right? We can simply write the OH. This is nothing but R dash OH because of alcohol. And this R C double bond O, again oxygen has positive charge here. This electron density tries to move. So soonly we lose H plus, and the H plus what we have taken initially, that will be regenerated. Or C double bond OH. This is our acid. This is our carboxylic acid. And this is our alcohol. This was our alcohol. And you should listen to this lecture clearly because no such explanation will be given in your textbooks. They will only give you the products and say acidic hydroxide of esters give you acids. That's it. Okay, but why acids are produced? You don't know. You will never know that. Okay, you should understand this class. Yeah, no problem, Ajay. Now admitted you. Okay, understood this mechanism or not? Whatever others. Understood, written, good. What Vaishnavi? Understood, good. Okay, fine. Let me give an example to you. So, example. So, before going to the example, we should check what happens if we do basic hydrolysis. So, in the acidic hydrolysis, we are getting acids. Similarly, if we do basic hydrolysis of ester, we'll get carboxylate ion. But if we take base, like OH minus is taken, OH minus, we cannot have a pure ion. We should get OH minus from some NaOH or KOH. So, if NaOH is added to H2O, and to that mixture, if we add ester, actually we take the ester, we take some ester, and that will be added to a solvent. Solvent is water. In the water, we have slightly NaOH. To that mixture, we are adding ester, and we are continuously stirring the reaction mixture. If you want, we can increase the temperature. So everything can be done. You take a round bottom flask, take some water. That water should be pure, distilled water. In that water, you add some NaOH. The NaOH should also be pure. In that system, you stir that continuously, NaOH and water. You make the solution to be homogeneous, and at that time, add ester, and the temperature conditions, temperature, how much external temperature pressure should be maintained, that should be, if you increase the temperature, what happens? The collision between the two molecules will be increasing. So more fastly the reaction can be done. So you can increase the temperature, so and you can monitor the whole reaction, and you can categorize the products. Categorize the products in sense you will get acid and alcohol. We don't want that both. We only want acid. Again, now we want to separate the alcohol. There are many tests. This is how people actually prepare organic compounds, like the medicines what you take, how they are actually prepared. So they have a big reactor, chemical reactor. In that chemical reactor, they will add all the substrates. So not all the substrates will be added initially. The time t is equal to 0. So at each point, we'll have a addition of a substrate. So we have a set of substrates. All those substrates will be added, and the reaction in the chemical reactor, the temperature, pressure conditions will be judged by certain rules. We know from the equilibrium what should be the pressure, what should be the temperature. Okay, if there exists an equilibrium, we should know temperature, pressure conditions. So under optimal conditions, we will get the products. But in many cases, we will get a mixture of products. So from that mixture of products, we need to again separate out the mixture. We need to again separate. That is why people always prefer to reactions which have side products as gases. If the side product is gas, then it can be escaped to atmosphere. So no. That is why people prefer reactions in which the side products are gases. If the side product, here see, we have alcohol and acid. Side product is not a gas. So the temperature conditions we don't know. At a particular temperature, the alcohol may be gas. But in general, we are talking alcohol is not a gas. So we need to separate it out. There are many other tests. So that is how reactions will occur in any pharma industry. If anyone knows about how pharma industries run, we can have an idea. So same way, C double bond to OR dash upon treating with H plus in the presence of OH minus, we will get R C double bond to OH plus R dash OH, and in the presence of OH minus and H2O, OH minus and H2O, we will get carboxylate ion. We will get carboxylate ion. Okay. So reaction will be again initiated with the same scenario, plus OH minus ion. Earlier, if you look at the mechanism in the previous case, acidic hydrolysis, O minus will attack the H plus. But now we have OH minus. So this OH minus should attack this carbon. Yes or no? This OH minus should attack that particular carbon. R, C, OH, O minus, and OR dash. OR dash. So as soon as this particular compound is formed, we don't want negative charge on oxygen. We want C double bond O, because C double bond O is stronger bond. So this comes into, and OR dash leaves. OR dash leaves. OR dash leaves. OR dash leaves. Okay, OR dash is the alkoxide ions are also good leaving groups. So they leave to form R C double bond OH plus R dash O minus. So this R dash O minus will now pick up this hydrogen from the acid. Will now pick up this hydrogen from the acid. So we get R C double bond O minus plus R dash OH. So if you look at the set, it is the same set what we have written here. R C double bond O minus plus R dash OH. And we cannot get OH minus simply. So if you have NaOH, Na plus can be written here. Na plus will be written here. We cannot have pure ion like OH minus. We should get the ion from an ionic compound, right? So NaOH, R C double bond O minus Na plus. Sodium carboxylate. Sodium carboxylate will be our product. That is, carboxylate ions will be generated, not exactly acids. Acids will be generated, but that H plus from OH from the respective acid will be picked up by alkoxide ion. Will be picked up by alkoxide ion. So if we treat esters with H plus in the presence of H2O, not OH minus. H plus in the presence of H2O, acidic hydroxys, and NaOH in the presence of H2O. This is called basic hydroxys. This is called basic hydroxys. This is acidic. This is basic. Sorry, if we do acidic hydroxys, we will get RC double bond OH plus R dash OH, acid plus alcohol. And here we will get carboxyl ion plus alcohol. So these are the two ways in which you can prepare carboxylic acids. So now we can look at our examples. So first example, as we have already dealt with R, R is any alkyl group. So let us take an example in which we have phenyl groups. Everyone solve this. Everyone solve this. This particular compound upon H plus and H2O. What happens? What happens? If you look at here, R C double bond O R dash, what happens exactly? This CO bond is breaking or not? This C double bond O and OR, carbonyl group, and this OR group, the bond between C double bond O and OR is breaking, and we are adding OH and R dash OH. That's all. So the product will be simple. If you want to just write the product, that would be simple. We will write C double bond O. This bond should break. This bond should break. So we can simply add OH at one particular point and H to this particular group, and we can simply add OH. For this carbon, as this bond is breaking, for this carbon we are adding addition of OH, and for this R dash O minus we are adding H. R dash O minus we are adding H. Same thing. This is our alkyl group now. This was our alkyl group. CH2O minus, that will be taken H. So we will OH and C double bond OH. So if you just want to write the product, you can simply write the product like this. But in JEE Mains and Advanced, they won't ask you the product directly, they ask you the intermediates as well. So you should know the mechanism. Mechanism is again simple. C double bond O. So initially we have H plus. So O minus and carbon plus. So the O minus negative charge in oxygen will now attack H. So we'll get what? See, positive charge will be as it is. O minus attack H. So OH will be formed here. Oxygen would be as it is. Other two groups, CH2 would be as it is. Okay. Now we are having a H2O comes into picture. We have H2O. This carbon is electrophilic. The lone pair on oxygen from H2O will now attack this carbon. We have benzene. We have carbon here. This carbon we have OH attached. That same carbon we have oxygen, two hydrogens attached. And we have oxygen here. This oxygen, as a lone pair is replaced in the bond formation, this oxygen has positive charge. I think I can erase the top part. Yes. Okay. So now we have that particular compound. That was our intermediate. So while we are writing the mechanism is, so in JEE you can expect questions like which of the following is the intermediate for this conversion. They will give the reaction to you. They will give the initial product and final initial substrate and final product to you. They give the reagent, but they ask the intermediate. Which of the following is the intermediate in the following conversion? Okay. In this particular conversion, which of the following options is the intermediate, suitable intermediate? To know the mechanism then. Carbon, we have carbon, oxygen gases. So here we have oxygen and two OH bonds, and here we have OH. So we have seen CH2. This CH2 is a electron donating group. So the net electron density on this oxygen is more when compared to electron density on this oxygen. So this oxygen will attack this H. Why this H is attacked? Because we have O positive. We have O positive, OH bond becomes weaker. So that weaker bond will be attacked by the lone pair of this oxygen and not this oxygen, because the electron density of this oxygen is more, which is enhanced by the presence of this alkyl group. The electron density in oxygen is increased by the presence of that alkyl group. Is it okay? And now here we have positive charge. Another lone pair gas is and OH bond is present. And you can simply expect, so we have two OH groups on the same carbon atom, that is unstable and should be a conversion. There should be a conversion. So this oxygen has positive charge, this oxygen has positive charge. So this electron density moves again. So as soon as this pi bond comes into, as soon as a lone pair comes into to form a pi bond, we have C double bond O, other lone pair is as it is. We have positive charge again, we have H. So this bond breaks now, here CH2 is present. So as soon as this electron density is given, oxygen gets again a lone pair OH. Now at the final step, we have loss of H plus from here, and the H plus is regenerated. So another molecule of substrate can be reacted. Okay, the same molecule. Look at this, same molecule. The product is same. Simply, all you need to do is simply break the ester bond, that is C double bond and oxygen bond we have, right? That bond you break, and for C double bond you add OH, and for oxygen you add hydrogen. That's it. So in the next 2 weeks, we are going to complete this organic chemistry. We only have nitrogen and its compounds. After carboxylic acids, we will be dealing with derivatives of nitrogen. Okay. So I think we have a good understanding of organic chemistry, at least up now. So we have almost done 70% of organic. I think this helped you. Is it fine, this reaction? So if I give a question, which of the following are the intermediates of this conversion, and I can give this intermediate. Option A can be this one. Option A. This can be my option B, and this can be my option C. And this can be my option D. I'll give all these four intermediates A, B, C, D in the options. I'll give all these four intermediates A, B, C, D in the options, and I'll frame a question. So which of the following can be suitable intermediates of this conversion? So you should choose all A, B, C, and D. All four are correct. All the four options are correct. So that is like a multiple correct options. JEE advanced type, multiple correct options. So you can have such type of questions. Similarly, preparation from acyl chlorides. Acyl chlorides. Sorry. Acyl chlorides when treated with H plus in H2O gives respective acids. The mechanism would be very simple. RC double bond of Cl. You are treating with H plus. So now what happens? O minus, carbon plus. We have a C double bond group. We have a C double bond group. So carbon will have positive charge, oxygen has negative charge. Again, this is acidic hydrolysis. So O minus attacks this hydrogen. So and we'll get the respective product. RCOH. This carbon has positive and chlorine is present. And we have H2O in the solution. H2O has two lone pairs on oxygen. So lone pair on oxygen initiates the reaction. That will attack this particular carbon. Then RCOH and O. We have two hydrogens. This oxygen will have positive charge and chlorine would be as it is. Okay. So now this chlorine and this carbon, if you compare this carbon and chlorine is more electronegative. So you can have partial negative charge that can take up this hydrogen, but we cannot write that like Cl bond H. We cannot write the bond attached with this particular compound. So we can remove the H plus first. So I usually say OH bond becomes weaker, but it is not broken. So you can ask a question, sir. You always say OH bond becomes weaker, but why you are removing the H plus? I am not actually removing the H plus. In this step, so let me write the step. RCOH, ClOH. So this step to this step, in between these two steps, we have a transition stage where chlorine and this hydrogen have a partial attraction. Okay, this chlorine and this hydrogen has some kind of attraction. We need to represent that attraction by dotted lines, but that step is not needed at gold standard. So it includes, if I have an interaction between chlorine and hydrogen, so carbon-chlorine bond should be breaking, chlorine-hydrogen bond should be forming, oxygen-hydrogen bond should be breaking, CO, oxygen gets oxygen. So we'll get a 4-member transition state intermediate. That is very critical, so you can neglect that. You can simply say, as this bond is weaker, so as time passes, H plus can leave. But H plus will not leave by itself. It is actually have an interaction with chlorine. It has an interaction with chlorine. Because of that interaction only, it will leave. So now again we have lone pairs on option. So this lone pair comes and Cl minus leaves. R C double bond O, OH, OH, oxygen has positive, oxygen has positive. We have another OH plus whatever the Cl leave, that will take up this H plus HCl plus HCl. This HCl is obtained from the molecule itself. One H from H2O and one Cl from this acyl chloride. Cl from acyl chloride and H from H2O. But initially we have added H plus, right? That H plus will be regenerated now. Loss of H plus will be occurred and we will get R C double bond OH plus H plus. So this was the H plus which is regenerated, and this is the H plus which will attach with chlorine, which will get attracted towards chlorine. But in reality, we don't know if we have H plus, that is H plus, that's it. Whether it is coming from H2O or H2SO4 or something else, it doesn't matter. So no. In the solution, if we have H plus, Cl minus will attract it. That's it. But why I am saying this H plus is from H2O and this H plus is a regenerated one? Why? Because the Cl will have a good interaction with this H, but it cannot have a good interaction with the H plus, which is formed in the final step. This H plus regenerated H plus is formed in the final step, but in between before that final step only, we have a formation of HCl. That's why I am saying from HCl we have a H from OH2. Okay, all these are interlinked. Don't need to worry. So upon treatment of acyl chlorides with H plus in the presence of H2O, we again get acids. Our C double bond OH can be generated by the treatment of acyl chlorides with acids. So normally you can expect now, what if we treat acyl chloride with base OH minus? Acidic hydrolysis is giving acid. So what basic hydrolysis would give? I think you have seen 2 or 3 examples. In the cyanates also you have seen acidic and basic hydrolysis. In the esters also you have seen acidic and basic hydrolysis. So what are the expected products? What Namita? What product do you expect when you do basic hydrolysis? So Ajay got the answer. Good. What about others? Yes, sodium carboxylate is the correct answer. If we take any OH, we will get carboxylate ion. We will get carboxylate ion. So you can frame this reaction in a complete set. You can frame this reaction in a so R C double bond O Cl, H plus in the presence of H2O and OH minus in the presence of H2O. We'll get R C double bond OH. When we do acidic hydrolysis, when we do basic hydrolysis, you will get R C double bond O minus. This is carboxylic acid. The second stage is carboxylate ion. Is it clear? So we are done with most of the preparations of carboxylic acids. So we can discuss physical properties now. Okay, listen to the concept. We'll write the theoretical part in the next class, but listen to the concept now. So when preparation is done, we always need to go to the properties. So obviously physical properties and chemical properties need to be discussed, right? But in physical properties, what are the main things we have? Of course, boiling points and solubility. Boiling points and solubility matters the most. In chemical properties, we have different types of chemical reactions which carboxylic acids will undergo. So now in the physical properties, when we are talking of boiling points, what do we expect? What do you expect? If you look at the R C double bond OH group, If you look at our C double bond OH group, what do you expect? Boiling points should be governed by intermolecular forces or not? It is always governed by intermolecular forces. That is the force of attraction between one molecule and the other molecule matters the most. The boiling point of a particular compound will be decided based on the intermolecular forces present in that particular compound. Based on the intermolecular forces present in that particular compound. So in the carboxylic acids also, we will choose the intermolecular forces between one molecule. For example, I specify this as CH3COH, CH3, C double bond OH, and let me take another molecule of CH3, C double bond OH, CH3, C double bond O, CH3, C double bond O, OH. So what type of intermolecular forces can you expect here? So we have a C double bond O group. We have a C double bond O group. C double bond O group in the sense we have a sigma and pi bond. Pi bond is comparatively less strong when compared to sigma bond. So sigma bond is formed by the axial overlap. That is, overlap will be along the axis, whereas pi bond is not along the axis. This perpendicular, sideways overlap. So that pi bond is less stronger. So the pi electron density can move faster. Pi electron density can move faster. So it will move towards what? It can move towards the most electronegative atom. So oxygen gets negative charge. Of course, we know this. Why I am saying again and again? It's a simple thing. Generation of partial positive and partial negative also I am saying again and again. So that you can have an understanding of how sigma bonds are formed, pi bonds are formed. It is actually stands as a revision for chemical bonding in your first year concept. Okay. So oxygen gets negative and carbon gets positive. Similarly, here also oxygen gets negative, carbon gets positive. Carbon gets positive. Again, we have OH bond here. In the OH bond also oxygen has slightly negative charge. Slightly negative charge and hydrogen has positive charge. So this negatively charged oxygen, will have good interaction with this hydrogen, and this negatively charged oxygen will have good interaction with this H+. So when you take two molecules of acetic acid, that is CH3COOH, when you just take two molecules of acetic acid, they have very strong intermolecular hydrogen bonding. If you take alcohol also, even alcohols also have intermolecular hydrogen bonding, but you can have only one hydrogen bonding. But in acid, if you take two molecules, we have two hydrogen bonding interactions, two hydrogen bonding sites. Whereas in alcohol, when you take two molecules, you have only one site. One O minus from one alcohol, H plus from the other alcohol will have interaction. If you take two molecules, we have one hydrogen bonding possibility. But if you take two molecules here, you have two possible hydrogen bonding sites. So the hydrogen bonding here is very, very strong when compared to all the groups, all the functional groups we have studied up to now, like alcohols, aldehydes, alkyl halides, whatever the groups we have studied up to now. Hydrogen bonding is the strongest intermolecular force. It is an example of dipole-dipole interaction. Yes or no? Dipole-dipole interaction results in a hydrogen bonding, but in hydrogen bonding, we have the two dipoles have oxygen, hydrogen, fluorine in such case. Hydrogen is fixed. Whereas dipole-dipole, it can be between any two other atoms. Any two, like carbon, fluorine, CCl bond is dipole-dipole interaction. So hydrogen bonding is a special case of dipole-dipole where the interaction would be more. So here we have a very strong intermolecular force of attraction. So the boiling point of carboxylic acids are very high. Is it clear? And also because of this very strong intermolecular force of attraction, carboxylic acids mostly exist in diverse state. You can note on that point. Carboxylic acids majorly exist in dimer state. Carboxylic acids have very strong intermolecular force, and because of this they mostly exist in dimer states, and their boiling points are high. Boiling points are high. Okay, it was a statement which you can note down. And regarding solubility, I'll just explain the concept of solubility. It hardly takes 2 to 3 minutes. Listen to the concept, we'll write the theory in the next class. So in the solubility, when you are talking about solubility, you should add respective acid in water, right? Of course, when you add this acid in water, the O- can have good interaction with H plus from H2O. In the H2O also we have a dipole. O oxygen has partial negative and hydrogen has partial positive. Yes or no? H2 has a bent structure. It has 2 dipole vectors and the net dipole moment will be in the y direction. That is known to us. So H plus from H2O also has good interaction with the O minus from carboxylic acid. So there also we have a good hydrogen bonding. But when you try to increase the long chain, instead of CH3COOH, if you take CH3CH2 CH2 CH2 COH, like 4 carbon chain and then COH is attached. So if the chain length is increased, all the CH3 CH2 CH2 CH2, all these are non-polar groups. No way there is polarity. If you increase the chain length, there is no polarity in the long chain. Only polarity exists in the COH group. So when you try to increase the long chain, you are trying to increase the hydrophobic part. Hydrophobic part. Okay. So when the hydrophobic part is increased, it is not practically possible to have a good solubility of higher carboxylic acids in water. Yes or no? Are you getting this or not? Lower carboxylic acids, as the size length is very small, they can have good hydrogen bonding with water. But when you increase the chain length, when you increase this length, so all this length would be, so when you try to increase this length, CH3, CH2, 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 when you try to increase that length, that chain length is more, this is non-polar, so hydrophobic, it will never attract positively charged H plus, so it does not have good interaction. So when you try to increase the chain length, the solubility of respective acids decreases in water. So lower carboxylic acids are more soluble when compared to higher carboxylic acids. Is that clear? Is that statement clear or not? Clear? So the solubility and boiling points clear or not? So boiling points will be very high for carboxylic acids because of 2 hydrogen bonding sites, and most of the carboxylic acids exist in dimer state because of strong intermolecular force. They even exist in dimer state. So when you write CH3COOH, that is not correct practically. In practicality, we have 2 molecules of CH3COOH attached. So you should multiply with 2. CH3COOH, you should write C6C2H6COH twice. You should write like that. Okay, you should multiply the whole molecular formula with 2 because it exists as dimer because of strong hydrogen bonding. Boiling points are high. Exist in dimer state. When it comes to solubility, lower carboxylic acids are more soluble when compared to higher. And if you take the bigger carboxylic acids like 5 carbon atom chain or more than 5 or 6, 7 like that, so they are not practically soluble in water because of hydrophobic part. Because of this hydrophobic part, the solubility of carboxylic acid decreases if we increase the chain length. But when it comes to boiling point, boiling point will be very high, and two molecules rearrange themselves in a dimer structure. So it is all about the physical properties of carboxylic acids. Next class we will write few statements regarding these physical properties, and then you can directly go to the chemical properties of carboxylic acids. Is this clear or not? Understood everyone?